Columbus High School is among 9 schools throughout all of Kansas to be chosen for an official launch of a state program. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with the impact that this will have on students.
A first-of-its-kind settlement from a gun manufacturer being held responsible for a mass shooting. I'm David Lee Miller in New York. The details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. Columbus High School is now one of 9 schools in Kansas approved to launch a state redesign project. The project aims to explore new ways of teaching to meet the needs of all students. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky is both the school's principal as well as school counselor and has more on how the state program has already benefited students.
This month, the Kansas State Board of Education approved 9 schools in 7 districts to be a part of the Kansas Can Redesign Project Plan for the current school year. One of those schools approved was Columbus High School.
The approval from the state board, we're very appreciative because it's validation that we're doing things the correct way.
The program, which invites schools from all over the state to apply, has the goal to find ways to best meet the needs of all students.
We looked at our master schedule. That's been completely redesigned to where teachers can choose whether or not they have 90 or 45-minute classes. Same amount of time on the week, but it's just structured differently to meet students' needs and whatever's best for that type of instruction.
Columbus High School has been working on this since 2019, but it wasn't until the fall of 2021 that they were accepted as a launch school. In February of 2022, the State Board of Education recognized them as an official launch school, one of 9 approved for the current school year.
That validation now with the State Board of Education recognizing the work that we've put in is just great for morale for the staff.
Since joining the program, the school has been able to implement beneficial changes for students.
We've allowed a lot of project-based learning. We get a lot of our students out into the community working at different jobs. They're able to actually go out and experience the workforce even more. And there's really been many opportunities, different areas that have helped our students.
Those changes, especially the schedule, have helped students receive needed real-world experience.
When we have our flex day, it allows them to really, I think, connect more their interest and their school life to what their future goals are.
In Columbus, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Other area school districts taking part in the redesign project are Frontenac, Northeast, and Uniontown. Meteorologist Doug Katie joining us now. That wind today.
Yeah, super windy outside for us today. Winds gusting in that 40 to 50 mile per hour range, which is kind of crazy. 66 started at 38, well above our average high of 50 degrees. We do have winter storm watches in effect for very far northern and northwestern counties that are going to get pretty good snow. Everybody else, we're looking at showers, thunderstorms, and some ice, and then a little bit of snow on the back end. But the clouds are thickening up. Here's our next storm system brewing out across southwestern parts of the U.S. We're going to stay mild tonight, mainly mid-50s for overnight lows, of course. We'll go through this entire storm system moving in here in just a bit.
All right, Doug Katie, thank you as always. Court-appointed special advocates will soon have a new building in Joplin. CASA officials today broke ground on the Jasper County CASA Training and Connection Center. The organization connects children in foster care with volunteers who will advocate for their needs. Officials say the new $1 million facility is going to provide a consistent, centralized location with play and learning areas and space to train volunteers.
Yes, the kids are very excited, especially the ones who have been around a little while. They are really ready to have somewhere to go. Foster homes are really crowded. A lot of times there's lots of kids in them. So having a space that's just theirs that they get that one-on-one time is going to be incredible.
CASA officials say they are looking for around 50 more volunteers this year. Southeast high schoolers in Cherokee, Kansas today learned about the dangers of distracted driving. The Arrive Alive tour stopped by the high school where students got to drive a simulated vehicle to see what it's like to drink and drive. A sheriff deputy we spoke with hopes that the tour is going to cut down on the number of distracted or drunk driving crashes involving teens.
So I think it's good that it shows kids whether they have or haven't drove impaired or distracted, the consequences that can come from it.
Program encourages kids to drive safe. SAFE stands for sober and free of electronics. City of Joplin announcing some changes to its transportation services because of staffing issues. Starting on the 28th, the Sunshine Lamp Trolley is going to begin operating again from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. MAPS Another service is cutting down its services. It's only going to operate 4 vans instead of the usual 5. The hours of operation, though, for MAPS is going to stay the same.
You'll still call ahead and make the reservations, and it just on a busy day, you may have to go to the next day or go to the next week type thing, depending on how far you're calling ahead.
Sunshine Light Trolley provides 3 routes: red, blue, and green. Families of 5 children and 4 adults killed in the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting reached a historic settlement today with the manufacturer that made the gun used in the attack. Gun control advocates hope it's going to make gun makers think twice about the kind of marketing used to sell firearms. Fox News correspondent David Lee Miller has this story.
Remington Arms agreeing to a first-of-its-kind settlement with the families of 9 victims from the Sandy Hook shooting. 20 children and 6 teachers were killed in the 2012 massacre at the Connecticut Elementary School. The shooter, Adam Lanza, used an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle made by Remington in the attack.
And they didn't know what to do or where to go. They had the energy and drive and motivation to do one thing. And that was to do whatever they could so that other families would not have to go through the kind of pain and loss that they had.
The lawsuit, originally filed nearly 8 years ago, claimed that Remington marketed the gun to younger males with targeted ads and product placement in video games.
Marketing that is targeted those that want to appear more intimidating, more powerful, and more masculine through the use of their AR-15.
Remington, which has since filed for bankruptcy, had argued that the suit should have been dismissed due to a federal law that gives broad immunity to the gun industry. The Connecticut Supreme Court ultimately ruled that the gun maker could be sued under state law. The $73 million settlement does not constitute an official admission of guilt from Remington, but marks the first time a gun manufacturer has been held responsible for a mass shooting in the United States.
Today is a day of accountability for an industry that has thus far enjoyed operating with immunity and impunity.
Remington has also agreed to allow families to release documents obtained in the lawsuit. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
Former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin today losing her lawsuit against the New York Times. A jury rejected her claim that the newspaper maliciously damaged her reputation by erroneously linking her campaign rhetoric to a mass shooting. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero. Dustin Drilling has served in the U.S. Army, spending time in both Iraq and Afghanistan. A native of El Dorado Springs, Missouri, Drilling has won several awards. We are proud to thank and salute First Lieutenant Dustin Drilling. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and a bit later. The Seneca boys basketball head coach is honored before retiring after 18 years with the program. Going to hear from him in sports.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a warmer, mild, and windy day for us today. Temperatures up into the mid to upper 60s during the afternoon. Very windy, winds gusting 40 to 50, and they're going to stay very breezy or windy for us tonight into tomorrow. Thunderstorms start to develop tomorrow evening into the overnight hours. Wintry mix Thursday. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. Look at our temps. We're still into the upper 50s. We're only going to drop back a few more degrees as our southerly winds keep our temperatures up. Sustained winds 20 upwards to 30 miles per hour. And we're still getting winds gusting at times in that 30 upwards to 40 mile per hour range. And that's what we're going to see as we go through the rest of the overnight hours tonight. Looks okay though. 7th and range line currently outside 58. Southerly winds at 23, humidity is at 51%. Winter storm watch far northern counties, most of us not included. I think we may go into a winter weather advisory by Thursday along and north of Interstate 44, but I think the winter storm watches and warnings will stay well to our north. Clouds increasing, next storm system building back to our west, so all the clouds are kind of building across the central plains. The main upper level low is now centered right about Las Vegas, and this is going to pull out and rotate right on top of us by the time we head into Thursday. And because it is on top of us, we get the warmer air ahead of it, the colder air behind it, and we get a little bit of mix of just about everything. All right, clouds tonight. As we go through the daytime hours tomorrow, we'll start to see some random showers popping up during the afternoon. Not really looking at thunderstorms. By tomorrow evening, we're still into the 60s. 8 p.m. we'll start to get some scattered thunderstorms along the front, and these will kind of drop in and kind of hit and miss as we go through the evening hours. Some of these could be strong, maybe low-grade severe. After midnight, the main batch rolls in, so showers, thunderstorms at this point in time, and then in our western counties switching over to freezing rain and sleet. By morning, here's 6:30 on Thursday, that freezing line is going to be really close to the I-44 corridor, but then we're going to get this dry punch of air and it kind of cuts off the moisture. So by the time most of us are cold enough to get anything, the moisture is going to cut off, and then we'll get into the back band that will rotate through, and this will give us some light snow by the time we head into Thursday afternoon. Severe threat mainly to our south. We have a low threat for severe weather. If we had anything, this would be mainly hail and wind. We are going to have a little bit of an ice issue, especially north of I-44. I think Pittsburgh to Joplin, 1/10, maybe 2/10 of an inch. Ice and sleet, so freezing rain and sleet, a little bit heavier in our northern counties. And then snowfall amounts, most of us fairly light. We're going to get a lot of rain, 1 to 3 inches of rain, but most of us a dusting to an inch of snow. But our northwestern counties, you will see a little bit more. Yates Center, Iola, Neosho, you'll kind of be in that 2, 3, 4, 5 inch range. All right, 64 tomorrow, drop into the 20s on Thursday, 45 on Friday, then back to seeing a nice weekend.
Yeah, I'm so ready for more consistent stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
we don't have anything consistent around here.
Well, except in the summertime,
yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah,
and when it comes summertime, I'm going to complain that I want more change.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll see you in a little bit. Thanks so much, Doug. Hey, Joplin's Wildcat Glaze is getting some help teaching the next generation an appreciation for nature. Jasper Newton County chapter of 100 Women Who Care today gave Wildcat Glaze close to $3,000 to buy tools for conservation education. The nonprofit Wildcat Glaze Friends Group offers nature trails, resources, and education programs.
And what a privilege it was to be able to sponsor them. They do so much for our community, and they're a drawing force here just to get people outside and give them a taste of nature that they don't always get at home.
The Jasper Newton County chapter of 100 Women Who Care says since its formation in 2018, it's given about $35,000 to charities. Coming up, try to figure out the whole situation.
President Biden hopes diplomacy with Russia is still possible as the Kremlin is sending mixed messages. I'm Lauren Blanchard with more from Washington coming up.
Prince Andrew settles a sexual abuse lawsuit with Virginia Guthrie today. The financial terms of the settlement were not disclosed, and the Duke of York did not admit guilt as part of the settlement. The settlement comes just weeks before the son of Queen Elizabeth was set to be deposed. Guthrie accused Andrew of rape when she was a teenager after allegedly being introduced by convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. A statement reveals Andrew, quote, intends to make a substantial donation to a charity in support of victims' rights. Only one person knows whether Russia is set to invade Ukraine or is willing to engage in more talks, and that, of course, is Russian President Vladimir Putin. The West is wary and continues to send troops and equipment to the region. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard is in Washington now with more.
We are ready to respond decisively to Russian attack on Ukraine, which is still very much a possibility.
President Biden hoping diplomacy is still possible as U.S. intelligence suggests if Russia invades, they could take over the Ukrainian capital in 24 to 36 hours.
Two paths are still open. For the sake of historic responsibility, if Russia commits this breach by invading Ukraine, responsible nations around the world will not hesitate to respond.
Tuesday, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll withdraw 10,000 of his troops. Russia has said they want Ukraine and other former Soviet countries to be barred from joining NATO, plus a rollback of forces in Eastern Europe.
Who can say how the actual situation will develop? Nobody so far. It depends not only on us.
No one besides Ukraine and NATO members has the right to a voice in the discussion regarding Ukraine's future membership in the alliance.
And many are skeptical that Putin is actually de-escalating, saying the Pentagon would have confirmation if it were true.
It's mixed signals right now from Moscow. Is Putin de-escalating his forces, or is he just shuffling around?
Fueling the skepticism, Tuesday, a cyber attack was reported in Ukraine, hitting the defense ministry and some banks and ATMs.
And we always said that cyber attacks would be a prelude to an invasion.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is overseas to meet with NATO defense counterparts. Wednesday and Thursday, they'll discuss a plan if Russia does invade. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
If Russia invades Ukraine, it could drive gas prices even higher. The price of oil is already above $90 a barrel, the highest it's been since 2014. Now, Russia produces more than 1/10 of the world's oil supply, and any military action in Ukraine could send the price of oil to over $100 a barrel. Even though the U.S. is not a major importer of Russian oil, this would still impact gas prices for Americans. Still ahead, a necessity in today's age.
The White House is hoping to make high-speed internet available to everyone. I'm Jackie Ibanez with a look at the new federal program helping millions of Americans straight ahead.
A former elementary school principal is warning people not to ignore high cholesterol. This after her own battle with coronary artery disease. Marilyn Alley says she had been told for years that she had high cholesterol but never did anything about it. Well, after noticing she was easily out of breath and lacked energy, she went to Freeman, where she was rushed to the catheterization lab to clear a clogged artery.
Go through my arm to do that, and after the procedure was over the next day, I felt really good. In fact, the next few days I felt better than I realized that I felt better than I'd felt for years.
The doctor who performed the procedure says most of these issues stem from poor diet and lack of exercise. Well, a team of American scientists reports they have possibly cured HIV in a woman. The scientists used a cutting-edge stem cell transplant method using umbilical cord blood. The help is going to be available to many more people in the near future. A quote, New York woman of mixed race received the treatment 4 years ago and according to researchers is still off of HIV medication and remains asymptomatic and healthy. The woman is the third person ever who appears to be cured. Well, for many people, going online to watch a tutorial, post a status update, or even pay a bill is common practice. Watch Doug Hitty and Nick Kelly's forecast online too. Plugged you guys. But at the same time, it's something out of the reach for tens of millions of Americans. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez has more on the federal program looking to help bring quality, high-speed internet to everyone.
In the 21st century, high-speed internet is a necessity.
It's easy to take the internet for granted, but across the country, the digital divide is expanding. According to the White House, roughly 42 million people are without access to the internet, with half of those people saying it's because it costs too much. But the Biden administration hopes to bridge the gap with its Affordability Connectivity Program, with 1 in 4 households now eligible for reduced bills.
The Affordability Connectivity Program enables low-income households to apply for discounts towards monthly internet service and a one-time discount on tech equipment.
Officials say the internet is critical for people to live healthy and balanced lives in today's world, with school, food shopping, and even doctor's visits all done online. And not having internet could jeopardize someone's future.
Students are sitting in fast food restaurant parking lots to do their homework over public Wi-Fi. Seniors are taking their telemedicine visits, not at home in the privacy of their home, but in local libraries.
More than 10 million households are already enrolled in the Affordable Connectivity Program. To see if you qualify and to apply, visit www.acpbenefit.org. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
All right, next, if you really love French fries, gonna find out how you can smell like them all the time. How about this, huh? After a few squirts of this perfume, you will smell deliciously irresistible, or so the script says. think it's safe to say that nearly everybody loves the smell of French fries, and now you can wear it as a perfume. The Idaho Potato Commission has a line of perfume brewed with the fast food side in mind. The product came to life after a survey revealed 90% of Americans cannot resist the smell of fries. The limited edition fragrance was exclusively sold through the Commission's website before selling out in just a few hours. There's no word on whether the product is going to be restocked. Speaking of French fries, McDonald's is going to soon be paying for its mistakes and slow orders through DoorDash. The delivery service app has just negotiated new terms with the fast food giant, agreeing to raise fees on McDonald's restaurants that are slow in preparing food. The Golden Arches will also cover the cost of refunds processed because of one of its location's mistakes on an order. While this new agreement helps DoorDash employees and revenue, some McDonald's argue the latest penalties could further hurt restaurants struggling with staffing shortages. That's the thing, right? You got staffing shortages and slow service. What are you going to do? All right, 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. How the Joplin School District is permanently remembering and honoring former students.
A rushing doping scandal overshadows another Olympic Games. Ingrid Palka in London. That's my story. Coming up.
Pittsburgh Fire Department is training the next generation of first responders. The department is hosting a 6-week academy to show recruits what a day in the life of a firefighter is like. The academy covers fire suppression, building construction, equipment, and other fire behavior, among other things. Recruits also got to go through simulated emergency calls to see what they are like.
We want to put them in an environment where we can coach them to success. So we challenge them every day to come to recruit school. We make it very clear that this is a pass-fail environment.
Officials say the academy gives students the tools they need to get a firefighter certification. Joplin School District announced a way to honor the accomplishments of alumni, a new Hall of Fame. Officials are planning to install a kiosk to display the Hall of Famers. To get into the hall, you have to have graduated from one of Joplin's 4 high schools at least 25 years prior to being nominated and distinguished yourself in your profession and your community.
I like the fact that, well, I'm a history person, and it's always exciting to me to be able to celebrate things from the past. When you really learn and sit and think about people and what they've done and their accomplishment, it's inspiring. It's inspiring for you to do your work every day.
The district is accepting nominations until May 15th. They're going to pick 5 to induct on the first rounds, then do 3 at a time in the future. Valentine's Day is over, right? But Missouri Southern is using the day after to show its students their love with Stuff a Lion Day. Students got the chance to create their own Rory the Lion, Build a Bear style. They even come with their own outfits.
And hopefully for some people maybe it's a little gift. You know, college students sometimes can be tight on money, so they can have a gift for their significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, something like that, something to kind of give them some excitement for the day.
Southern has been doing Stuff a Lion for about 10 years now. Well, Texas is suing Facebook's parent company, Meta Platforms. The state attorney general says the company's facial recognition technology violated the state's privacy protections and is looking for civil penalties in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Meta stopped using the tech late last year and said it deleted the data. Meta insists this lawsuit is without merit, though it did settle a similar class action lawsuit last year in Illinois for $650 million. Noom getting a heavy slap on the wrist. The Diet app agreed to pay $62 million to resolve allegations that it tricked customers into signing up for so-called risk-free trials. Those trials then turned into costly renewals that were hard to cancel. Noom has agreed to send email reminders to customers before their trial expires. Another dismal economic report concerning inflation. The Producer Price Index, which measures wholesale prices, rose 9.7% over the last year. Biden administration and lawmakers on Capitol Hill are trying to find ways to alleviate the problem. Fox's Madeline Rivera has more now from Washington.
No relief for people at grocery stores or at the gas pump, with another inflation measure spiking in January. Wholesale prices now up 9.7% from the year before.
Until we see a massive fall in producer prices, oil and gas being one of those key elements,
I don't see inflation going away anytime soon.
Lawmakers busy on Capitol Hill trying to piece together a spending plan for the fiscal year acknowledge Americans need more help.
Lowering costs must be a bipartisan effort. Americans in states both blue and red and in between need relief as soon as possible.
But they remain at odds on how to address it. Inflation now threatening Democrats in the midterms as higher prices squeeze households and wipe out pay raises.
Both Congress needs to stop the spending and the tax hikes, and the Fed needs to get very serious about reining in inflation right now.
The Federal Reserve has signaled it would raise borrowing rates this year to try and curb spending and lower prices.
And that's a concern for the Fed, and it's something the markets have to contend with.
Some Democratic senators facing tough re-elections in the midterms introduced a bill to temporarily suspend the federal gas tax through the end of the year in an attempt to lower costs. Critics argue it won't do much to bring prices down at the pump. In Washington, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
A bit later, the truckers with a mission up north.
Even as Canada puts everything on the table to get the Freedom Convoy to move out of town, they're not budging. I'm Alexis McAdams. I'll have details from Ottawa coming up next.
Definitely a mild, windy day for us today across the region, and it's going to stay mild and windy once again for us tonight into tomorrow. Thunderstorms start getting going tomorrow evening into tomorrow night, and then we switch over to a wintry mix on Thursday. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog, KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, upper 50s right now. We're only going to drop back to about 55 later on tonight. Very windy. We have south winds at about 20 to 30. And these southerly winds are keeping our temperatures up. In fact, we still have winds gusting 35 to 40 miles per hour. 7th range line looks pretty good. Currently outside, we are sitting at 58. South winds at 23. Humidity 51%. Barometer 29.89 inches of mercury and falling. Winter storm watch, far northwestern counties. I do expect a winter weather advisory to go out mainly along and north of I-44. Probably not till tomorrow. Clouds increasing. Next storm system developing back toward the south and to the west. You can see the spin right about Las Vegas. And this will track out and follow the arrows. So it'll dig a little bit more, and then it's going to ride right out into the Central Plains, right over us. And when a storm system like that goes right on top of us, we usually get heavy amounts of rain, showers, thunderstorms, and then we tap into the colder side with a little bit of snow on the back side. Most of tomorrow is going to be dry. We are going to see some random showers popping up in the afternoon. We'll go into the mid-60s. Here's the cold front. This is 8 p.m. Scattered thunderstorms start to develop. You can see the front kind of slide south. So this is just after midnight. I think most of these are just moderate to strong storms, but we may have a random low-grade severe thunderstorm warning. Big bands of rain really push in, especially after midnight. Here's 4 a.m. Northwestern counties go to freezing rain and sleet. And then once that freezing line gets right to the metro, the heaviest of the moisture pushes on out and we get a dry slot. A dry slot is a dry punch of air, kind of separates the beginning of the storm and the end of the storm. So the back edge will rotate through Thursday afternoon. This is going to give us light sleet, light snow. Most likely we'll have some slippery roads. It's not going to be as bad as what we had a couple weeks ago. Some light snow works through. It's out of here Thursday evening. First off, severe weather threat. Mainly southern counties. I would say along and south of I-44. That's where your best threat is going to be. If we had anything severe, which this is not going to be a big event severe weather-wise for us, it would be elevated winds and also larger hail. Ice could be a little bit of a problem north of I-44. I think most of us a tenth, maybe 2/10 of an inch, but there are going to be some isolated quarter to half-inch amounts. Snowfall, light, but still could cause some issues on the roadways. Most of us are in the white, which is a dusting upwards to an inch. I may up this a little bit tomorrow. We'll see what it looks like. And then if you live out toward Iola, Chanute, Fredonia, that's where you're going to get a few inches of snow accumulating. 64 tomorrow. We drop into the 20s on Thursday. Back to 62 Sunday.
So like you said, still be careful Thursday.
Yeah, we are going to have some slick roads. So we do need to watch that.
Doug, thank you. As always, the biggest football event of the year saw a dramatic increase in viewership from last year's Super Bowl. It's up 14% from 2020's game between the Kansas City Chiefs and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The 2021 Super Bowl was also the most watched show in 5 years. Last year's game was considered a massive disappointment in terms of TV ratings, drawing 91.6 million fans, the worst ratings for a Super Bowl in over a decade. All right, coming up in sports, Webb City and Neosho meet up for a top 10 matchup, plus Pitt State making their home debut today. Danny Terzer has the highlights and more next.
Pitt State is 2-4 on the early season, coming off a tough weekend in Arkansas. Today, though, the Gorillas return to Al Ortolani Field for their home opener. Pitt State hosting Oklahoma Baptist for a non-conference game. The Gorillas fell to the Bison just last week. In the third, Gorillas trailing. Garrett McGowan hits a 2-run blast to put the Gorillas within 1. Next inning, bases loaded for the Bison. Dan Pruitt singles to center, all 3 men on score. But later, Aaron Gertis hits one out to right, and Cruz Aranda comes racing home from first. PSU down 10-6. The 7th inning, Caleb Carr comes in to pinch hit, gets a base hit. Gertis gets his 4th run of the day. Trey McClelland also scores. Gorillas start to pour it on, still in the 7th. A wild pitch here. Mason Hartman dives home to give Pitt State their first lead of the game. 7 runs come across in the inning. Oklahoma Baptist, though, finds a way to close it out. The Bisons win 15-14. Crowder baseball in action today for a home doubleheader against Seminole State. In Game 1, Crowder dominates 16-6. Josh Patrick scores 3 and drives in 3 more. Jackson Cobb adds 2 runs and 3 RBI. Game 2 is closer, but Crowder gets the sweep, winning 7-6. Patrick stays hot, going 3 for 5 in Game 2, while bringing in 3 more runs for the Rough Riders. The Neosho Wildcats have been on a tear, winning their last 6 of 7 games. They're currently 16-6 and ranked 10th in Class 5. Neosho hosting Webb City in a big top 10 matchup. Dante Washington gets the takeaway on the other end. He makes the layup plus the foul. Washington finishes with 16. Webb City up early in the first. Then Caden Waters knocks down a 3. That ties up the game. End of the first now. Webb City working it around. Trey Rhodes gets the bucket in the paint at the buzzer. Webb City down though after 1. So Neosho extending their lead here. Isaiah Green takes it himself. Easy bucket for 2. And back to Rhodes in the corner, this time for 3. He nails it, drops a game-high 26 points. Webb City gets by Neosho tonight 74-71. The Seneca boys head basketball coach is being honored today in the Indians' final home game of the season. Will King is retiring at the end of the season after 18 years as the Indians' head coach. In his time at Seneca, King has led the Indians to 3 conference championships and 3 district championships.
I started seeing more and more people here from my past. I have several past assistants here, lots of great past players here. And again, I'm a firm believer that life's about relationships, and that's the biggest blessing through all of this. Through 18 years of coaching here, I've been blessed with a lot of great relationships, a lot of great young men. That's been huge to me, and man, it's so great to see their faces tonight and their families.
Back with more news after this.
Unprecedented powers, hoping to bring an end to a week-long standoff with truckers in the Freedom Convoy. Fox News correspondent Alexis McAdams has more from Ottawa, Canada.
The Canadian government pulling out all the stops to remove these truckers from the capital. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invoking the Emergencies Act for the first time in history, among other things that allows the feds to follow the money and shut down any bank accounts suspected of supporting those blockades. But officials here say those new powers won't be used to suppress basic rights like freedom of speech.
I made it clear to the Prime Minister that any special powers need to be extremely targeted, only used for as long as necessary to resolve the situation, and not 1 minute longer.
It also gives more powers to federal police. Many residents here in Ottawa have criticized what they say is a lackluster performance from law enforcement. And on Tuesday, the city's police chief resigned. As protesters say, they're not going anywhere.
We're going to leave when the mandates are removed and we are given our freedoms back.
The government says this will be a targeted effort aimed at the Capitol and border crossings. This is what police found inside of trailers at the Coutts blockade out in Alberta. Guns, ammo, and body armor. 13 people arrested. And with tensions rising on both sides, some experts say a political solution is unlikely at this point.
The Prime Minister is not going to meet with them. He's sort of done the us and them thing, and that's just the way he's doing it.
After seeing what police found in Alberta, the convoy here tells me they're doing everything they can to make sure nobody has weapons in their convoy. In Ottawa, Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
Gonna check out another movie about Lucy and Desi. Hollywood Nation coming your way. Series and movies debut first looks and big news for the Oscars. It's all in today's Hollywood Nation with Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Lady Whistledown's latest, more love for Lucy and leading ladies for the Oscars in the Hollywood Nation. Comedic stars Amy Schumer, Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes will run the show at the Academy Awards. This follows 3 hostless years for Hollywood's biggest night, which returns March 27th.
Money isn't everything, Agnes.
HBO announced The Gilded Age will return for Chapter 2, just as Part 1 gets underway. The show premiered January 24th with its story from the creator of Downton Abbey, set in 1882 New York City.
Did you miss me?
And in today's Look at First Looks, an official trailer for Netflix's Bridgerton Season 2, which premieres March 25th. This time, the journey is Lord Anthony Bridgerton's as we meet new characters, revisit with returning romantics, and of course, hear it all told by Lady Whistledown.
No one wanted him to play my husband.
Plus, a trailer has been released for Amy Poehler's documentary Lucy and Desi, exploring the legacy of the iconic couple. That film premieres March 4th on Amazon Prime Video.
Why are you the only man who wants to stay with me?
And check out the teaser trailer for the book-to-screen psychological thriller Deep Water with Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas. The two star as a picture-perfect couple playing dangerous mind games. Their mystery unravels on Hulu March 18th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Going to leave you with video of Tilla the gorilla in Berlin celebrating her first birthday. Yay, Tilla. Be safe too. That's all we get tomorrow. See you then.